Hey guys, what is going on? RedMaster here, and welcome back to another video. Today, we have some new information for you guys regarding the sequel game by Red Team Games, the one that we confirmed not too long ago, and ever since that video did go live, I've had a couple of you come up to me and sort of ask, if I had more information, if I had more updates regarding the new game, and I haven't had anything for a while, except today that changed. Not too long ago, the official Cards and Castles Twitter retweeted a statement from who I believe to be one of the developers behind this new game, mentioning not only giving this picture really, but also providing us a lot of information in detail regarding what could potentially be in store inside this next game. So I wanted to not only break down that statement for you, but as well as this picture to see where we might be headed with this next game. So, yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's start with the statement there. I'm not going to bring it up for you, but I will sort of read it off to the side here, word for word, to kind of give you guys, the full statement. So, in response to, I guess, a question prompt by someone else earlier, fellow dev community, I guess, the dev mentions Omega work in progress, but we're working on a sequel to Cards and Castles. So right there, this confirms that the new game is going to be a sequel instead of just a new game entirely, or one of those new sort of spin-off games that, pertain to the lore of CNC. So sort of like how I picture Clash of Clans and Clash Royale to be, where they take from the same universe, but they are not really sequels to one another. They're different games. So it seems that this one is going to be more of a follow-up game, more of a sequel than that kind of relationship. So I am happy about that. Sort of, as you can see here on the screen anyway, I mean, it's similar to Cards and Castles. Who knows if it's getting a different name or anything like that. But as far as I could tell, very similar in regards to CNC so far. But further down the line, he mentions new engine, new combat systems, i.e. unit classes, spell systems, multiple resources, all new OST, and much more. Really excited about it. And right there, that just spilled a whole lot of detail in regards to the plans for what's to come in this game. Obviously, new engine, not surprising. We've heard in the past that the engine for updating the original CNC is getting really old to the point where it's becoming more costly and difficult to make updates, hence why this new game is in production, or at least one of the reasons why this game is in production. So right there, no surprise that's being run on a new engine. But also he goes on new combat systems, unit classes, and spell systems. Very interesting points there. Obviously, it is going to change a bit how the game works. Unit classes, we can actually see an example of that right here, I think. At least this is just me theorizing. We have something like a scout here, which of course, those two appear to be the same unit. But we see scout on the card text, but skirmisher above. Now, obviously, I can't say for sure that that is the unit class system, because, we have an example in our current game of Paladin and Questing Knight, where it's essentially two units running different card arts, but ultimately having the same sprite, so I can't necessarily confirm that here, but that's just my hunch, that, while the Scout is the unit here, Skirmisher might be referring to a unit class. I'm kind of curious to see how that system actually plays out, if we're going to have, a selection of unit classes and then sort of branch out into different individual units. We'll see, I guess, maybe more details on that. He also mentioned spell systems, which we really can't get a good idea of based on this picture, because obviously there's no spells in hand. These all appear to be units. I mean, Ranger, Dwarf, Scout, all examples of units that are currently in our game, so unless any of those have been moved or morphed to a spell, I don't think there's any spells in here, but that's kind of interesting. Making it sort of, I guess, different from how we play spells in our current game. Maybe that's going to receive some kind of change. Very curious about that. Multiple resources, I can assume that's what the blue 00 is for right now. I mean, obviously the gold count is still there. But this new sort of 00 blue box could pertain to a new resource. Curious to see how that would impact the game, just having another resource pool to use or keep track of, etc., etc. And then he also mentions all new OST, so new music, new sounds, and of course much more. We've already seen an example, new boards. It looks like this is a very nice little wintry snow mountain type board, ice board. I don't know if they're fighting on a lake or what, frozen lake or whatnot, but actually this looks really nice in terms of the actual board. But that was pretty much all they had in the statement right there. So that in itself is a lot of detail. It shows that they are certainly working on taking the original CNC, and to me it just seems like they're kind of growing it, seeing where they can expand to, seeing how they can improve upon the original and kind of morph it in a sort of new direction, which I am excited for. I mean, unit classes, new way to play spells, the multiple resources, all those things have me quite interested. I do like that. So I'm curious to see where that goes. Hopefully we'll get more details soon. Not sure how far in this is particularly. But again, we'll just have to wait and see in terms of maybe if they release another statement or whatnot. But regardless, I'm going to go ahead now. Let's go ahead and look into this picture, though. Because, I mean, I've talked mainly about what was, the statement from the tweet. I haven't actually referred to the picture as much. Let's go ahead and break down the picture and see if we can, take away anything from that. Alright, so looking at this picture now, there is a hefty amount to take away from this. Obviously, the biggest change that, stands out to me right now is the loss of the bottom row of the board. It looks like the board has sort of shrunk and castles have been moved accordingly, which is actually quite interesting. Having a smaller board, definitely, like, when you manipulate the board in any way, I think it's going to affect the way that people position things, and you're going to see, like, positioning patterns certainly change because of it. So I'm curious to see how exactly our loss of a board row will impact how we move around our units and how exactly we, develop movement patterns in the game. Something to kind of take note there. Also, would love to know if the summoning has been affected in any way because of this. Obviously, we can't tell where summoning is because of the way that he's not playing a card right now. Obviously, in this hand, but are we still do we still have this sort of free summon range back here, or has that been changed as a result of the castles moving? Definitely something that I would like to know there. Obviously, we mentioned already before, the new resource here kind of has me curious, what exactly that entails, how exactly we'll be able to control that new resource and where it's being used to. Also mentioned, I think there's a correlation definitely here between the unit classes. I mean, just my opinion, it could be the same instance as Paladin Questing Knight, but he did mention unit classes, so it does have me a little curious as of now. Also, as well, I noticed that there is a summon phase up here. Not sure what that entails. Are our turns going to be split up, or how exactly is a summoning phase? Are there more phases? Oh. You also see that this player has initiative here, so what does initiative really entail? Just questions that I'm kind of throwing out there, just based upon this picture alone, because we can't really tell too much. I mean, those are just some takeaways. I don't really want to comment too much on the cards because if they're still working on them, these could, not be in the final product. It seems that we're getting, similar styles. I mean, I don't think the art is changing or the style of the cards is changing. So that seems okay, unless these are placeholders for, what's to come. But, as of now, I don't think it's right to question on the, the balancing of cards. I guess, like, the cost of cards. I don't know. I don't see numbers down here either. That's certainly something interesting there. You don't see unit numbers like how, this would be the area where the attack is shown. This is the area where health is shown. We're not seeing any of that here, nor do we see any sort of stat lines on these units. All we see essentially is, their cost and the fact that they are neutral cards, which is curious. And that does bring up another question. Are we going to have factions in this game? Are we going to be able to refer to like the pirates, the warlocks, the Vikings? Do we still have those factions, or are there going to be like broader terms on how cards are placed. I'm not super sure on that. Again, the picture doesn't really do a whole lot to foreshadow what's to come, but there are certainly big takeaways from it. I think some of the big takeaways include the board. That changing, that being a big deal. The summon phase up here in the top corner, what exactly does the summon phase entail, and if there are more phases? The fact that this player has initiative, how does that factor into the game? And of course, the new resource, how are we going to be able to manipulate and control that? What is it really used for? Just some basic takeaways from the, initial picture, but it seems that we are getting a more, similar game to the original, to Cards and Castles. So for those of you who were fearing that it would be a completely new game and a sort of new direction, it doesn't seem to be that way. It seems that we're still sticking to the CNC formula, except that there are going to be some, I believe, major revamps to how the game is played to kind of bring it into a new direction, which I am very excited about. I know some people might not be. Some people I know like the original CNC for how it is, but it's certainly something interesting to try, especially since we haven't had new content since 2018 with the release of the Enchanted Grove. That was our last major update for the game. I think even if you don't like the appearance of this right now, I do think that it's going to be worth trying out the game, especially just if you want that new content in some form. You don't have to love it, I think, but it's going to be something that we're going to all end up playing, just to kind of really feel out how different it is, how new it is. I mean, I can already feel it right now. There might be some of you in the comments who just sit there and be like, I don't like this, not a fan of it, etc., etc., and that's fine. But I think that they are very early in their testing. I mean, we haven't really heard a lot since that initial video. It's been some time, and now we're finally getting, just screenshots, preview images. Obviously, I don't think this is going to be the final product at all, but it's certainly curious. And, of course, I wanted to bring it to you guys just because I mentioned that, when more information became public, I would bring it to you, and hence we have new public information. So I definitely think that it's very exciting to kind of preview these new images, to preview this new direction just by the screenshot, even if it's a screenshot. And of course, if you want to view the tweet for yourself, you can go ahead over to Cards and Castles official Twitter, which I'll link in the description. If you guys want a closer image or to read the full statement for yourself, I will certainly leave that link in the description below. So with that being said, I think this is going to be a good time to close out our discussion for today. And with that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Definitely let me know what you guys think of these this new image and the words provided in that tweet, in that statement. I mean, what do you think about all this? How do you like the new direction so far? Again, this is far from what I believe to be a final product image, but I certainly like how we're getting a more similar game to Cards and Castles, not some kind of new direction, a new game that, may not relate to CNC at all. We're still kind of keeping that CNC feel, just applying some new resources, applying some new direction to it, and seeing where that goes. So I'm personally very excited. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. Again, if you like it, dislike it, let me know your thoughts by leaving your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, with that being said, I will leave the link to the CNC Twitter as well, so you can take a look at this. But be sure to let me know if you guys enjoyed the video by leaving a like on it, share with friends, of course, comment down below, and subscribe if you are new or haven't done so already. It's the best way you can support the channel after all. And yeah, with that being said, guys, that's going to do it for me for now. So until next time, stay gaming.